yogis, welcome and namaste. It's Ali here and I'm bringing you today a tutorial on downward facing dog. What a pose. I mean, if you talk to anyone about yoga, they bring up downward facing dog. Everybody knows this pose. However, I have to say, not everyone knows how to do it properly. If I had have been told these tiny little cues and alignment cues early on in my yoga practice, life would have been a lot easier. Did you know that downward facing dog is actually a rest pose? Might not feel it at the beginning, but let's dive into it. Let's get on the mat, explore. All right, so to measure out our down dog, let's come into a high plank. So let's just set up your plank, so shoulders over wrists, heels in line with the hips, in line with the shoulders. Now, hands are spread quite wide on the mat. Now, pinky fingers towards the outside of the mat. I quite like a very wide arm down dog. Now, from here, all you need to do is bend your knees and start to press the chest back towards the thighs. I'm just going to take a little adjustment here with my feet, step them in just an inch or two, and then I'm coming into downward facing dog. Now, the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is your hands. So whatever's touching the mat or carrying the weight of the body is where we want to talk to the most. Just drop your knees and come down for me for a moment. Shake out the wrists and let's have a little explore and a little workshop into down dog. So something to note about the shoulders with down dog is the shoulders, even though they don't feel it, there's this external rotation of the shoulders in this pose, okay? I want you to just try this out for me for a moment. So bring your arms, so take a seat onto hero's pose. Bring your arms out to the sides, okay? Thumbs facing up. Now, I want you to turn your palms to the back of the room, turn your thumbs to the front of the room and down. So now we have this internal rotation of the shoulders. From there, keep that in the arms and bring your arms overhead. Okay, that's as far as I can get my arms overhead. If I was to do downward facing dog with this position, it would look like this, and it feels terrible for my neck and shoulders. All right, that was the wrong way to do down dog. Now, take a seat back down, arms out to your sides, thumbs facing up. Let's do that wrong version again. So internal rotation, so thumbs facing towards the front of the room and down. All right, now let's flip them over. Turn the thumbs back and then open up the palms towards the sky. Now we have external rotation at the shoulders. From here, reach your arms overhead. Oh my gosh, how much space here do we have for our shoulders? We've got space to lift our shoulder blades up. There's lots of movement that the shoulder blades can upwardly elevate. So we want to encourage that upward lift in our downward facing dog. From there, then turn to your mat, plant the hands down with that external rotation, open up through the collarbones, find your plank, and then bend the knees and start to press the chest back towards the thighs, finding downward facing dog. All right, let's look at the hands again. Just take a quick look at your hands. Check that the middle finger is directly pointing to the front of the mat. Now, I want you to feel the weight pressing into the pads of the hands, particularly the thumb pads and the pointer finger pads. Now, Hasta Bandha here, you want to hug the thumbs towards each other like jars of jam. Squeeze, and what that does is start to activate through the biceps. We want nice stability into the shoulders here, so the arm bones pressing into the shoulder sockets. Now, feet are hip distance apart, so separate your feet hip distance, not too wide. We know that hip distance is just a little narrower than sometimes we often think. Now, the idea with this pose, actually just come down onto your knees again, is this is an inversion. So the head is below the heart. Probably see my red face now from turning upside down. So the head is below the heart. Okay, the other focus of this pose is not about the hamstrings. It's not about getting nice long hamstrings at all. The idea of this pose is to go upside down, to place some weight and energy on our arms, turn ourselves upside down, reverse the flow of energy and gravity, and find some space underneath the front of the chest, the arm bones, and all this area of the body that gets super tight and restricted when we sit on our phones, we sit at computers, we sit to eat. We've always got this kind of forward hunching posture, okay? We want to start to find more space and expansion across the chest. That's the aim of down dog. So when you come into down dog again, I want you to forget about your legs and hamstrings, okay? Let's focus on the arms and upper body. So, palms face open, arms reach overhead, plant the hands down, pinky fingers wide, nice wide down dog. Find your plank and then bend the knees and start to press the chest back towards the thighs. So you want to feel like you're pressing your chest back towards your thighs. Now you'll notice I've got a nice bend in my knees here. I want to lift my hips towards the sky and keep the hips nice and high as I press the earth away. From there, keep all that integrity of the spine. So spine nice and long. From there, you just start to lengthen the heels towards the mat. You might feel with down dog, if you're practicing early in the morning, the heels might not go anywhere near the mat. Maybe if you're practicing in the evening, the heels might have a little bit more length. But either way, my heels have never touched the ground. Okay? Keeping that generous bend in the knees will help you with downward facing dog. Let's have a play one last time. All right, so find that external rotation of the shoulders, arms overhead, plant the hands nice and wide, find your high plank, bend the knees, press the chest back towards the thighs. Now a couple of things to note here. We want to keep the energy in the belly, so keep drawing the navel towards the spine. Now listen for those Tadasana cues again. Toes spread wide, all 10 toes. Inner ankles to the back of the room. Outer shins hug in. Legs are engaged. Quads are on. Kneecaps are on. Thigh bones hug in to the hip socket. Outer hips hug in. Navel draws towards spine. Thoracic spine, so the chest presses towards the thighs. You open up the chest. Arms nice and strong and long. If you look in the camera at me, you would see a perfect upside down V shape. That's how you want to feel. And take a full breath in. Long breath out. Drop the knees. Put the hips back to the heels. Arms down by your side. Child's pose. Pause here for a couple of breaths. Awesome. Thank you, yogis. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial with downward facing dog. It's, again, a cornerstone pose of our vinyasa. It'll get to the point when you've built up enough strength that this pose will actually become a rest pose. Keep practicing, and I look forward to seeing you on the mat very soon. Namaste.